Hi everybody, how you doing? I'm just going to do a video here, hopefully fairly quickly. I apologize, I don't want to go long on this. I did one a few minutes ago just talking about why I won't buy a hybrid, and I mean a plug-in hybrid primarily, and I'm just going to go into that a little deeper here. The main reason that I don't recommend plug-in hybrids in general. Hybrids, traditionally, they're a fuel-powered car that has a small battery and a small electric motor to boost what the car can do, and basically they provide better mileage, basically, and that's what they've been. They've been around for a long time. I think Toyota come out with the Prius in like '97 or something, and they work. But people are reluctant because I think at the time they were maybe $4,000 more to buy a hybrid compared to a gas or whatever. And again, I'm not anti-hybrid. They definitely have their place. But the electrics are here now, and the electric tech has gotten pretty good. I mean, it's gotten to the point that the charging system infrastructure is getting quite good. The chargers themselves are getting quite a bit better with the speed of the charging and so on. So yeah, there's been quite a few changes in the last couple of years. Now, I've been driving electric vehicles for about 5 years. The company I'm with has purchased these vehicles, and we have quite a variety of cars, a couple of pickup trucks, and so on. My wife has recently, well, I guess almost 2 years ago, but went to a Equinox EV, which is just a phenomenal EV. If that's the vehicle you're looking for, I will kind of recommend the Equinox EV. The range is pretty high, and it's just a pretty good rig. You can do your own research on that. But yeah, so I generally don't like to see the hybrids being sort of promoted. I don't want to say pushed, that's not really the right word, but people generally don't have a lot of knowledge of EVs, and I wouldn't either, except that I fell into this, okay? I'm 60 plus years of age. I was a diesel mechanic for most of my career, the first 20 years of it. I just had to deal with these. I drive them and I do some minor servicing and I understand the tech and I've done some research, and the reality is they are just better. And if you look at the next other video there, the one I did recently here, I talk about that, and they're just better. I don't have any other way to say it. Okay, I am driving a full-size pickup truck, four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, whatever, for less operating cost than it would if I was driving a Honda Civic. And that is absolutely insane and shouldn't even exist. And the only reason it does exist, and I mentioned it in another video, is because Tesla back in the day, back when they announced their Cybertruck, Ford got all scared that they were going to lose market share. So basically they produced this truck. They got it to market quicker. They had a great response on pre-orders. So they were, they thought they were going to make 50,000 trucks. Then they decided they were going to do 250, and they ramped up for their production. And then they sent the trucks out, and dealerships were marking them up $5,000 or $10,000 above, I guess the manufacturer suggested, and they didn't want the base truck. They wanted all the premiums and the XLTs and platinums, everything, and people were buying them. And frankly, if you can sell a platinum, why would you want to sell an XLT or a Pro? So it's business, and I'm okay with that. I'm not holding the dealerships and Ford against anything for doing that. That's what they do. They're businesses, okay? But now we're into the hybrid game, and the hybrid, I think, is being used as a bit of another marketing tool or bridge. They just, people think, oh, well, I like the gas, but I like the electric, and I kind of, range anxiety, whatever. Okay, it's not that the hybrid, plug-in hybrid, is a bad rig. It's not bad, and there are certain use cases that it makes sense, but most people think the use case is them and it makes sense for them, and it likely doesn't. Okay, the odds are if you go full electric, you're going to be great, no problems, whatever. But I can't say that for certain because you have to do your own research. How many kilometers do you drive, and so on. The issue with hybrids, you're buying things you don't need. You're paying for an engine, a transmission, a gearbox, whatever. Hybrids, plug-in hybrids, are not electric cars, people. They're mechanical cars with a small battery and a small motor, electric, to assist the drivetrain. Some of them can run on it, but it's not a electric car, okay? An electric car has a fairly large battery and electric motors that drive it. It does not have transmissions. It doesn't have, whatever, exhaust system, fuel system, whatever. And hybrids are going to be higher maintenance, definitely, because they do have a motor. They need oil changes, and there's been issues with that too, because hybrids, they don't get to warm up quite often. So the engine doesn't actually get to warm up. And there's been issues with the engine itself, whether or not they're going to last. There's also been issues with charge cycles, because basically the way batteries work, they have a certain number of charge cycles that they'll carry out 1,000 charge cycles or whatever it works to be. Well, on a bigger battery, that's going to equate to a lot more kilometers because the bigger battery goes farther. So a charge cycle, let's say from 0 to 100, would give you a certain number of kilometers. Well, if you have a smaller battery and does a fraction of those kilometers, you go 0 to 100, basically a charge cycle, you get to do that the same number of times. Well, that's not going to be the same distance that it was with the bigger battery. So the bigger battery is likely to outlast, and generally will. There's really never been problems, or I should say never, but statistically the battery failure rate is pretty low. It's likely to be higher with the hybrids just because those batteries cycle more often. So do your own research on that. It's just how it is. Again, myself, I just got kind of thrown into this, and I had to face the facts. And the facts are electric drivetrains, electric vehicles, they're just better. In 90+% of use cases, they are just better. It's just how it is. And they are, in some cases, cheaper than the gas. This truck behind me was, look at my other video, you'll see what I was talking about. And I have the data to back that up. I have it right from the Ford dealership, and it is what it is. Again, I'm not trying to sell you anything. Whatever, buy what makes you feel good, but please do your research and understand when you go into that dealership, a lot of dealerships do not want to sell you the electric vehicle. They want to sell you a gas or a hybrid because those vehicles make money. They're coming back for oil changes. They're coming back for mechanical service. They're coming back for a lot of stuff that the electric's never going to do. And so if I was a dealership and I have a choice and I'm going to sell you a gas or a hybrid or an electric, I want you going out with that gas or hybrid. I do not want you leaving with this electric because you're not coming back and you're not going to give me any money going down the road. I'm not going to make as much money. And as a business person, you can't blame me. Fair enough? But I'm not an auto dealer and I got nothing to sell you. All I can tell you is it costs a lot more to drive a gas car than it does an electric for many reasons. Do your research. If you want an opinion on an EV, talk to somebody who has it. Okay, there's a lot of opinions out there that people have. They do not drive electric vehicles. They just sometimes making things up, or they have an interest, okay? They're in an industry that doesn't favor this. I understand that, but where's your information coming from? Who's giving you the information? Do they have experience? If they don't have experience, if they're not EV drivers, if they don't have experience in EVs, and in my case, I actually have experience in mechanics as well, but if you don't have experience in EVs, you only have an opinion. That's it. You got an opinion. I have an opinion, clearly, but I also have the experience. So if you're going to talk about EVs, please talk to somebody who has them, has one, has had them for a while. Do your research online. Make your own decisions. But I'm telling you, there's so much misinformation. There's so much or many industries that really don't want to see you in an EV. Luckily, there are some that do. Again, I have nothing to sell you. This is just information because it frustrates me. I get questions every day. I got people coming up to me when I park my truck. I have people coming into the office that know we drive EVs. I get this all the time, and everybody's got the same questions, which is fair, and they're listening to what they're hearing in the press, which is fair, but 9 times out of 10, they don't know the backstory of EVs. They don't know how beneficial it is, and they don't know how much money they're wasting. And a quick thing that I tell people all the time, these are the numbers you can use for quick calculation. Look at your current car. Look at the kilometers that are on that odometer. Okay, whatever that says, you figure that you would have saved 10 cents on every kilometer driven had that been an electric vehicle. So if you've got 100,000 kilometers on your car, you can figure you spent $10,000 more on fuel than you would have if it had been an electric vehicle. And that's the savings, not the energy cost. That's the savings. So when you figure it out, generally speaking, for the smaller cars, it's about 13 cents a kilometer. And that's based on the previous gas prices. 13 cents a kilometer roughly to drive the cars, the gas-powered cars. We have similar cars, if not identical in some cases, and the cost for a kilometer in those is roughly 3 cents. So what can I tell you? So that's 10 cents in the difference. Now, the truck is even better than the 10-cent mark. But regardless, if you want to do a quick calculation, just look at the odometer, see how many kilometers are on your current car, and just think, now, if this had been an electric car, maybe it wasn't even available electric when you bought your car, but had it been an electric car, 10 cents a kilometer times whatever you're seeing. If you've got 160,000 kilometers in that car, that's $16,000 that you spent on fuel, extra that you spent, above and beyond the electric cost. Think about it. I don't know what to tell you. It's just what it is, but you're not going to hear it. It's not something that seems to get out there the way it should, okay? If you don't do the research, you don't know. I'm all done. I'm sorry I went over 10 minutes on this. I'm sorry if I seem frustrated. That's why I do these videos. They're amateur, whatever. Listen to me, don't listen to me. Subscribe if you want. I'm not going to do many of these. If you don't subscribe, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to make 5 cents out of YouTube, I can tell you that. But if you want to subscribe, fine. But you're not going to get a lot of videos. I've done 2 today, which I've never done 2 before, I don't think in the same day. And I probably won't do another one for 3 or 4 weeks. Again, so if you want to subscribe, go ahead. So I don't get too embarrassed by my subscription numbers, and they're not very high, I'm sure. You can't even find me. This is EVs and other stuff, and frankly, when you do the search, you'll be lucky to even find me. So again, I do this mostly just to get the information out there and just to kind of voice it. And if it's helpful, great. If you stop listening to me by now and clicked off, that's okay too. Thank you for your time. Take care, and yeah, make up your own mind.